Hi, this is Natural Health for All Ages. I'm Dr. Jean Wagner, Doctor of Naturopathic Medicine, which is a branch of medicine that looks to help the body heal itself naturally. And our topic today is natural alternatives for allergies. Allergies are a hypersensitivity reaction of the immune system. We want our immune system to be healthy and to protect us, but sometimes the immune system overreacts to things in the environment that should be benign and not cause any reaction. And when that happens, sometimes your immune cells have some cells that are called mast cells and basophils that have histamine in it, as well as some other chemicals that when they're activated, they burst open, release the histamine and other chemicals and cause a hyperreaction to some normal proteins in the environment. You can get anything from skin reaction, hives, itchiness, runny nose, scratchy eyes, runny eyes, itchy mouth. Some people actually can get a severe reaction, anaphylactic reaction that can be life-threatening if their airways swell shut. Asthma can be a allergic reaction as well. So if they cause enough, some people have very mild symptoms, but if your symptoms are severe enough that you're looking for medication, there are some natural things that you can use. You can use, medications. They work very well symptomatically for some people. They can cause some side effects, from sleepiness to, drowsiness, incoordination. So some people have a problem with their jobs taking them. A lot of them, have colorings in them. This one, fortunately doesn't, so you can at least get rid of that. But for all of them, they're chemicals that your body's not familiar with, and the medicines do not just go to the tissues that they're targeted for the allergies. They travel throughout the whole body, and they affect different organ systems, and the body has to detoxify them. So it can be a little bit hard on the liver and the kidneys, the places where your body sends out different toxins. There's other different treatments for allergies like desensitization, where you get shots of gradually increasing amounts of the substance you're allergic to, which that can be painful and time consuming. It can work well for some people. Another thing is avoidance. Just try to avoid the substance that you're allergic to. If it's a contact one, or even if it's a pollen, try to keep from going outdoors. But that's really limiting to your lifestyle if you're trying to just do avoidance. And also with medications is sometimes, especially if you're using them chronically, you can get rebound effect in that when you're trying to suppress the reaction that the body is trying to do, you're stopping the reaction, but the receptors can increase on the cells because they're still trying to form the same reaction. So they increase the receptors, so when you go off the medication, your cells are primed to really overreact now, and you get a worse reaction than what you started with. And that's usually more of a problem with more of a chronic use. But there are a lot of natural things that you can do to calm down allergic reactions. You can get really good results, or sometimes you can help, lower your medication, especially if there's seasonal allergies. There's some things you can even do before the season hits to try to prime your body to react better and calm the immune system down. One of the easiest things that everybody, has to do every day is eat. So there's some foods that can actually help allergic reactions. There's a chemical in some foods. It's called quercetin. It's actually a bioflavonoid, and it works very well for allergies. It's found in things like tea. Most people have tea around their house. You want to, drink a couple of cups a day. It's also in onions, but more particularly like the red onions versus the yellow ones, the more colored ones. It's in apples, citrus, green leafy vegetables. And what the quercetin does is it inhibits the mast cells, the white blood cells, from breaking open as easily and releasing the histamine. So by making them a little bit more stable, you can encounter more of the allergen before you get the allergy, and if you do have allergic reaction, it's a little bit limited. And the quercetin is also anti-inflammatory, so if you're having that inflammation going on, the skin or in the lungs, anywhere, it tends to calm down that reaction of the immune system a little bit, makes you more comfortable. And if your allergies are mild, that may take care of it all by itself. Another substance in food is called rutin, and rutin is another bioflavonoid which is also anti-inflammatory, but it's found in citrus, but more particularly with rutin, you're looking at the peels, like the peels of oranges, like that white stuff that, you know, people try to peel off or, you know, don't eat. But that's where a lot of the rutin is. And also with apples, it's more in the peeling than in the fruit part. So if you eat an apple, you definitely want to eat it with the peeling on. You know, grandma's right, you know, you don't want to throw that away because there's a lot of nutrition in there. Also, rutin is found in buckwheat, which buckwheat, you know, you can get in several different ways. You can find it in noodles, which they're pretty tasty. I don't like them with, you know, tomato sauce, but they're very good, especially in soups. They're cold soups. They're a little bit, you know, a little bit softer than regular, you know, wheat noodles. You can get the buckwheat as a flour to make into pancakes, like buckwheat pancakes. You can just get the buckwheat as the grain itself and cook it like an oatmeal, but that's also very high in rutin. Rhubarb has rutin as well, and like the cranberry also, like cranberry juice, they can also help, you know, get your supply of rutin up there so that you can minimize your immune reaction. The rutin itself is an antioxidant, it's anti-inflammatory. But what it also does is help decrease capillary permeability. So when you're having your allergic reaction and your nose is running, your eyes are pouring, especially if you have a lot of mucus or maybe you're having a lot of a drainage down the throat or you're getting like asthma that's more wet, it's because all those fluids are leaking out of your capillaries as a reaction to the allergen. And so what rutin does is helps the capillaries stay tighter so that the fluid does not leak out as much, so you can decrease a lot of that, you know, the wet symptoms of allergens with the rutin just by eating the food. Vitamin C also is very good for allergens, and humans are unlike most animals in that we don't produce our own vitamin C. Most animals produce their own and they just produce how much they need, but humans have to eat it. If we don't eat it, we can have symptoms, or sometimes you can be chronically just a little bit low and you don't have the symptoms of scurvy per se, but you have some low-lying problems with the immune system from the decreased amount of vitamin C. But good sources of vitamin C, you know, everybody's familiar with like orange juice, but some really good sources also are rose hips. Now this is the time of year when they start to form. And rose hips, you get the rose flower and it blooms, and when the petals fall off, it leaves these little balls that start to grow. And in the fall, they generally turn a bright orangish red, and you can actually eat them or take them off, dry them. You can make teas out of them. They taste almost, well, they look almost a little bit like cherry tomatoes, and they taste a little bit like a cherry tomato, but they're a little bit more tart because they have so much vitamin C in them. It gives them that sour flavor. But you can just eat them. You can grind them up, use them as a tea. You can put them into capsules if you want. So they're very high in vitamin C. It's something that, you know, a lot of people can just find around their yard. Also, chili powder. So if you like the red chilies, even just to eat the peppers themselves, they're very high in vitamin C, more so than the oranges. Both of these are. So if you like spicy foods, it also can, you know, because of the reaction with the spiciness, it kind of wash away some of the allergens because you get a big outpouring of secretions when you eat a lot of spicy foods. So that can wash your nasal passages, wash the allergens away. But it also has a lot of vitamin C, which stabilizes the mast cells as well. Also, you can do like, you know, fruits and vegetables. One source of vitamin C in an animal product is liver. It's pretty high in vitamin C as well. Another thing that you can use is papaya and pineapple. They have a lot of enzymes in them, and what the enzymes can go around, as long as you don't have a lot of extra food, papaya and enzymes have many enzymes in them which are more than enough needed to digest the fruit. So if you eat them on a fairly empty stomach, the rest of the enzymes can go around and chew up inflammatory products around the body, including the signs of allergies. So it can go around diminish inflammation, like, you know, for the skin, for the asthma, for any allergy symptoms. So it's a tasty way to get a little bit more of a anti-inflammatory reactions as just with food as well. Also with essential fatty acids, they're just generally anti-inflammatory altogether. They're good fats in the body, and good sources are things like raw nuts. These are some raw walnuts, but also you can use fatty fish like salmon, sardines, things like that. They generally just calm down the immune system, make it work more at a normal pace instead of doing that hyperreaction which causes the allergens. So those are good sources as well to put in the diet. Now if you think that, these are good ideas, but you really don't have time or you don't like these foods, then what can you do? You can, for a lot of these substances, you can also take supplements that work pretty well. With the quercetin, you can take those as a capsule. They're found in almost every health food store. You just take a capsule or a tablet, usually like 1,000 milligrams a day for the quercetin. Also for the rutin, you would take like 500 to 1,000 milligrams a day. And a lot of times you can find combination products. They have the quercetin, the rutin, some vitamin C, maybe some hesperidin in there that are all, sometimes they have like the rose hips included to kind of get a combination product that the ingredients will work together to calm down the allergens in a good way. With the vitamin C, you can do like, 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams a day. With vitamin C, you don't want to do too much of a mega dose on a chronic basis. You can in like an acute problem, but on a chronic basis, you can deplete some of your vitamins and minerals with the mega doses. So on a regular basis, I wouldn't go too much above that. With the EFAs, again, for the essential fats, if you don't like nuts or you don't like fish, you can take supplements like the cod liver oil or the fish oils. Just make sure that they don't have, if they've been tested for mercury, because you don't want the mercury in your body. The cod liver oil has some things for the respiratory tract, also like vitamin A in it. But it also has vitamin D, so if you're out in the sun a lot, you want to make sure you're not overdosing on vitamin D if you're out in the sun, making your own and consuming a lot of extra. Also for the digestive enzymes, like it's not convenient to carry pineapple around or papaya, but you can take digestive enzymes to help go around the body. And for this purpose, for allergies, you want to take them on an empty stomach. If you take digestive enzymes and you have food there, obviously it's going to help digest your food. But you're looking for a different reaction, so you want to wait till your stomach's empty and take several of them. And you're looking for more of like a pancreatic enzymes, not so much the betaine HCl and the pepsin, which are the stomach enzymes that break down the protein, but you're more looking for the ones that break down carbohydrates and lipids or the fats and proteins like from the pancreas. So they're very safe. They help a lot of types of inflammation. You can just carry them around with you. They're convenient, and just take them on a continual basis to help your body fight those symptoms. Also vitamin D. Vitamin D also helps to normalize the immune system function. And so since with allergies, it's a good reaction because the chemicals that your mast cells produce are needed by the body. It's just with allergies, it's being released inappropriately. So you want to have your immune system to be healthy, and vitamin D helps to normalize the immune system a little bit. So it's not so hyperreactive, it's not underactive, but it has more normal function. So you want to, if you're low on that, you can get a blood test on that as well, test to see if you're too high or too low. You can supplement that as well, or make sure if you get a little bit of unprotected sun exposure outside and don't wash the area quickly, which vitamin D can, some studies show, can be washed off within the first couple days of exposure with a lot of soap. There's also herbs that can help a lot of allergy symptoms. One of them grows right here in Michigan a lot. This is actually a plant that most people don't like when they encounter it. This is a stinging nettle. And with the stinging nettle, it has these little hairs on it. They grow all over. Sometimes they grow a lot in raspberry patches, but this one was actually, a friend of mine went and got it from Mulberry Hills Golf Course. It's in the rough, if you don't want to encounter it in the rough, because whenever you touch the little hairs on this, it stings you and causes a painful reaction. Like stinging nettle means like stinging irritant. So if you touch it, when it's fresh, it has like almost a hypodermic needle effect on your skin. It'll inject you with an irritant. But nettles is very nutritious, and once it is dried, it is very safe to touch. So usually if you're going to go harvest it, which you can go out and harvest your own, you can buy it at the health food stores already harvested and dried. You can use it as a tea, which they just, dry it up, grind it up. But you can do that yourself and put it in a little tea bed, steep it in some hot water. You can put it in capsules. You can just, eat the leaves once they're dry. They're perfectly safe then. They're very nutritious. They have a lot of silica. They're good for your hairs and your nails. It's a very good plant, and it has a lot of other uses as well, but it's very good for allergies and calming down the immune system. Studies have shown it's particularly good for like eye symptoms and sneezing, but other people say it works very well in other allergic reactions too. So this is one really good plant, and you can also look up online. For herbs, you can also use tinctures, which are a little bit more concentrated than teas or capsules, in that you put them in a liquid base, let them steep for about 2 weeks, where all the good nutritious particles are being leached out into the liquid so that you don't have to digest it. Whereas if you take a capsule and it's dried, your body has a couple hours to take the nutritional substances out of there. And since there's, it's a plant material, it's a little bit harder to digest. So the tinctures can be very effective, a little bit more faster acting, but they are generally in a little bit of alcohol. If you don't like the alcohol taste, you can even take some, like hot water. You take a steaming glass of hot water, squirt your tincture into the hot water, and the alcohol will evaporate over time. And then it tastes a little bit better. Or you can dilute the tinctures in a little bit of juice, and it's a little bit more tasty that way. Nettles doesn't taste bad. Some of the other herbs, can taste bad, so a little bit juice can help. Another really good herb for allergies, especially if you have a lot of mucus or tearing or a lot of drainage down the throat, is an herb called mullein. And mullein is very drying, helps to dry up things in the body if there's excess of like moisture anywhere. So with allergic symptoms, if somebody's really tearing or their nose is dripping, or they have that sinus drainage, or even if they have an asthma attack and it's like a wet asthma versus a dry asthma, then mullein can be very useful. Also things like horseradish. Some people really liked horseradish. They use it on their steak, or this is wasabi, which is actually used on sushi. It's a little bit spicy, and the smell, it really open up the passages of the nose and the lungs. So if you smell it, especially if you get allergies and your sinuses get blocked up, you get a sinus headache, horseradish is very good. It kind of opens up, especially, if somebody has used, too much wasabi, you notice that, wow, it really opens up your sinuses really quickly. So it can be very useful in that situation, or if you have asthma, it can be also very useful in that situation to open up the air passages. Now the other herb I have here is Echinacea. With Echinacea, it's not going to directly help the symptoms of your allergies like the mullein and the horseradish or the nettles. What Echinacea does is more helps to normalize the function of the immune system. So your whole goal is like, how can I help my body be healthier and not always, have it act like this little pollen that's safe is a foreign invader and I need to attack it. So with Echinacea, it grows well here. This is actually one of my best growing plants now that it's been hot, though this one's been eaten up a little bit. The only thing with Echinacea, it grows well here. If you want to harvest your own, the part you're looking for though is the root. So it doesn't spread very readily, so you'd have to plant more every year if you're going to gather up the root in the fall, which is the time that you usually want to gather it. So you can make your own, grind up the root, again, make a tea from it, or chop it up finely, dry it, make some capsules, or just make a tincture out of it, chop it up, put it in some alcohol, like gin or vodka for a couple weeks, and then use some drop tinctures of that. Or you can buy it from the health food store in several different ways. It comes in teas and tinctures and capsules as well. So that's another good herb that we have right here. It's easy to obtain. Another good thing that you can use is with the cell salts. And what the cell salts are different tissue salts. Salts are like elements that are stuck together, like sodium chloride is a salt. Well, in the body there's about 12 naturally occurring cell salts that Dr. Schussler studied, and every cell salt, Highland is a popular brand. They sell in most health food stores, and they all say the salt name and then a number that says 6x. Sometimes you can get a 3x, but those are the cell salts. They're very easy to take. They taste good. They're on just little sugar pellets, and you just put them in your mouth. They dissolve almost immediately. They taste good. Children like them. They're easy to carry with you. But the different 12 tissue salts have different deficiency symptoms, or ones that they're symptoms that they're known to help. So the ones that you can use for allergies is not this one per se. This one can help a little bit if you have more like an asthma where your chest is tighter, it feels like your throat is tight from an allergen, because the mag-phos is actually part of, the magnesium dilates smooth muscle, which is part of your respiratory, your bronchioles and your blood vessels, they're all aligned with a smooth muscle, and the mag-phos helps dilate those and relax them, so it can help make breathing easier. Natrium muriaticum is another cell salt, which has your nose is dripping and maybe you're getting a headache from the sinuses that's pounding. Natrium sulfuricum is another one that's good if you're allergic to things like in the dampness, like molds and things like that. Now with homeopathic remedies, per se, the cell salts are very low dose homeopathic, so they have some of the bulk substances in them. But homeopathic remedies are a way of treating symptoms in that you're looking to match your symptoms up to a remedy that's known to correct that type of symptoms. So you have to match them up pretty closely to what they're known to cure and what you have. If you take the wrong one, a lot of times you won't get any reaction. So sometimes you need a little bit of help, like find a practitioner like a homeopath or a naturopath that does homeopathy to find the right remedy. It can work beautifully. My brother always had terrible hay fever. His eyes would swell shut and itch so bad. And after I graduated, and I tried one remedy that's known a lot for eyes called euphrasia, which is this one. They come on little sugar pellets as well. You just let them dissolve in the mouth, and you take them as needed with the allergies. They're very easy to carry around with you as well. Well, this one didn't work on him, but there's also a remedy called ambrosia, which is made from ragweed. And that's all he needed to take care of his allergies every summer, and every year they would be a little bit less, severe. They didn't come back as much. So the euphrasia and the ambrosia have a lot of eye symptoms like, itchiness, and the ambrosia really worked for a lot of the swelling as well. But also some nasal discharge as well, irritation in the nose. Apis, which is this one, it's actually made from the honeybee. It's known for a lot of swelling, like if a person's their whole face is swollen, or if they get hives and they're very puffy. Apis usually is like a lot of swelling and redness and heat of an area from an allergic reaction. Urticurans, actually there is a homeopathic remedy made from the nettles, which is called urtica, and it's also known for symptoms like hives, very itchy, stinging kind of sensation in the skin. So you can read up on different homeopathics as well. A lot of them are available at the health food stores, depending on what dosage you need. There are sometimes combination products. This one is actually a little roll-on, but it has a combination, some homeopathics in there. The combinations are okay in that if the remedy you need is in there, it's going to help. But if the remedy you need is not in there, it probably won't do anything. You don't want to use combination products, consistently over time, because it's better to find the one remedy that'll help you most and stick with that instead of using all the other ones that you don't need. You can also use, there's a couple of different homeopathic remedies called Waiithia and Arundo, that if you get like an itchy palate, like if you're getting your allergies and you just want to, put your hand back there, your tongue, and scratch your throat, that can be useful as well. And other simple things, just to keep, the allergens away from you, obviously, is like shower. If you have your allergen that you've touched, wash it off. If it's, you have, pollen allergies, wash your face when you're home so that you're just getting rid of the exposure there. But you can also do a nasal wash. You can also do a product like this, which has some xylitol in it, in that it coats like bacteria and things to wash them away so you don't get an infection if you have a lot of mucus there. But you can also just use like a pint of, you want a sterile water, you don't want tap water because it might have bacteria in it, but sterile water, like a pint and 1 teaspoon of salt, and you dissolve that in there. It can be regular salt or sea salt, and you dissolve it in the water, and then you can either take like a little neti pot you can buy at the health food store, or I've even found, like if you know someone that has contact lens solution, once the bottle's empty, you wash it out, put the solution in there, you just pour it in one side of your nose. You want to make sure that your nose is lower than your mouth. So you go over a sink and you pour it in one side, it drains out the other side, washes away all the pollen, washes away a lot of mucus, it gets rid of a lot of junk in there. And it's just salt water, easy that you can do at home. Other things, use the air purifier and air conditioning. So that was just some ideas and what you can, have readily available, what you can use to calm down the immune system. So this was Natural Health for All Ages. Thank you for tuning in, and look for more topics in the future.